No one will ever replace my husband. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD.
There are moments in the public eye that defy explanation, events so bizarre they rip a hole in the fabric of what we believe to be true. We are constantly told to trust our instincts, but what happens when the narrative being fed to us is so carefully constructed that it forces us to question our own reality? This is a story about ambition, faith, and a political marriage that may have been nothing more than a carefully managed illusion, all set against the backdrop of a sudden, shocking tragedy. For months, the political world has been watching a spectacle unfold, a series of public appearances and carefully worded statements that, when pieced together, suggest a plot ripped straight from a political thriller. It centers on a rising political star, a man many believe is being groomed for the highest office in 2028, and the two women whose lives are inextricably linked to his ascent, his wife, Usha, and a newly widowed political operative, Erika. The question we must ask is not if a political maneuver is underway, but how deep the betrayal goes and who is truly in danger. The moment that truly ignited this firestorm of speculation was a simple, yet profoundly unsettling embrace at a major conservative event in Oxford. On stage, Erika, a woman who had just suffered the unimaginable loss of her husband Charlie weeks earlier, introduced the man of the hour, JD Vance. But it wasn't the words of introduction that resonated, it was the raw, almost possessive energy of the moment. Erika stood before the crowd and delivered a line that instantly became infamous. She compared J.D. Vance to her late husband, a man she had publicly mourned, stating that while no one could ever replace him, she saw some similarities in J.D. It was a statement that, for many, felt less like a compliment and more like a declaration of intent. The subtext was deafening. A replacement had been found, and the public was being soft-launched into accepting it. Then came the hug. It was a physical gesture that seemed to betray the carefully crafted image of a grieving widow and a devoutly married Christian man, his hands on her hips, her hand reaching up into his hair. It was intimate, charged, and utterly inconsistent with the public roles they were supposed to be playing. This wasn't a handshake or a polite side embrace. It was a moment of connection that felt too close, too comfortable, for two people who were supposedly just political allies. The public reaction was immediate and visceral. People began to question the narrative of grief they had been sold. We are told that everyone grieves differently, but when does different cross the line into calculated? Erika's public behavior since her husband's death has been a masterclass in inconsistency. She has been constantly in the spotlight, giving interviews, and maintaining a level of public engagement that few people truly devastated by loss could sustain. The sheer, almost manic joy she displayed in the weeks following the tragedy was jarring. It begged the question, was this genuine catharsis, or was it a performance designed to keep her in the public eye, ready for the next act? This is where the first hook of human retention psychology kicks in, the cognitive dissonance. We are presented with two conflicting realities, the public image of a faithful husband and a grieving widow versus the undeniable charged chemistry of that hug. Our brains are wired to resolve this conflict, to find the truth, and that need to reconcile the dissonance is what keeps us watching, searching for the missing piece of the puzzle. While the public was fixated on the spectacle of the hug, a far more insidious drama was unfolding behind closed doors, a drama that centered on J.D. Vance's wife. Usha insiders close to Usha began to leak stories of her terror, her growing suspicion, and her realization that she might be a pawn in a much larger, colder game of political chess. The whispers began with the discovery of alleged messages, photos, and travel dates that suggested a long-simmering connection between JD and Erika, one that Usha now suspects was being lined up since the day of Charlie's funeral. The hug wasn't the beginning. It was the public confirmation of a plan already in motion. But the most damning evidence of a calculated setup came not from a leaked message, but from J.D. Vance's own mouth. In a series of public statements, he began to subtly, yet cruelly, undermine his wife and their interfaith marriage. For years, the couple had presented their religious differences, J.D.'s Catholicism and Usha's Hindu background, as a beautiful testament to mutual respect and understanding. Usha herself had spoken movingly about how J.D. approached her background with curiosity and enthusiasm, even adapting to her vegetarian diet and learning to cook Indian food. Fast forward to the present, and the narrative has chillingly shifted. J.D. Vance is now publicly stating his hope that Usha will convert to Christianity, framing their religious difference as a personal wish, but one that carries immense political weight. He even went so far as to shade her family, suggesting they were not particularly religious. This is a direct contradiction to Usha's own account of her upbringing, where she credited her Hindu parents' faith with making them very good people. Why the sudden public humiliation? Why the need to rewrite the history of their interfaith relationship? The answer, according to those watching closely, is simple and brutal: the exit strategy. J.D. Vance is allegedly creating the perfect, politically palatable excuse for a divorce. In the world of conservative politics, a divorce based on irreconcilable religious differences is far cleaner than one based on an alleged affair with a recent widow. The narrative is being constructed. Usha, the non-Christian wife, refuses to convert, leaving the devout Christian politician no choice but to seek a partner who shares his faith, a partner like the newly available, politically connected, and very public Erika. This taps into the second major psychological hook, the sense of injustice and empathy. The viewer is drawn into Usha's plight. We see a woman who is being publicly dismantled by her own husband for political gain. Our innate sense of fairness is violated, and we feel a powerful urge to see the victim vindicated, which keeps us invested in the outcome of the story. The speculation around the divorce excuse goes even deeper, touching on a rarely discussed religious legal loophole. The Pauline privileged J.D. Vance is Catholic, and the theory circulating is that he could use this old Catholic rule to annul his marriage to Usha. The Pauline privilege, derived from the writings of the Apostle Paul, allows a Catholic convert to end a non-sacramental marriage, a marriage not between two baptized Christians, so that they can marry another Christian within the church. Since JD is Catholic and Usha is Hindu, their marriage was non-sacramental. If this theory holds, it would allow JD to walk away clean, politically and religiously, and still have a church wedding with Erika, all while claiming the moral high ground. This is the kind of cold, calculated detail that transforms a simple scandal into a conspiracy. It suggests a level of planning and ruthlessness that is deeply unsettling. The timing of JD's public comments about Usha's faith, coupled with the political positioning for 2028, makes this theory, however speculative, impossible to ignore. It paints a picture of a man willing to use his faith, his marriage, and his wife's personal beliefs as mere stepping stones on his path to power. Now we must turn to the most disturbing and sensational aspect of this entire saga: the death of Charlie Kirk. It is the elephant in the room, the tragic event that created the opening for this entire alleged plot to unfold. Charlie Kirk's death was sudden, shocking, and officially ruled a random act. But in the context of everything that has followed, the bizarre grief, the immediate public positioning, the alleged setup for divorce, the narrative of a random tragedy begins to fray. The internet, a place where skepticism thrives, has been ablaze with theories that Charlie's death was either orchestrated or at the very least immediately exploited to facilitate the JD/ERICA pairing. The question being asked is chillingly simple. Was the tragedy the opening act? Was this the plan all along? To remove the husband, make the wife disappear, and then unite the two political figures in a powerful, unifying narrative just in time for a presidential run. Erika's behavior, in particular, fuels this dark speculation. Her immediate, almost relentless pursuit of the spotlight, her calculated comparisons of JD to her late husband, and her seemingly boundless energy in the face of unimaginable loss, all contribute to the perception that her grief is a performance. It feels to many observers like a role she is playing to perfection, a necessary step in a larger, more ambitious plan. This is the ultimate psychological hook, the fear of the unknown and the need for closure. The human mind struggles with unresolved mysteries, especially those involving life and death. By suggesting that a tragedy was not random, but a calculated move in a political game, we tap into the viewer's deepest fears and their desperate need to know the truth. This is the glue that keeps the audience glued to the screen, waiting for the final piece of the puzzle to drop. The personal drama is, of course, inextricably linked to the political endgame. The whispers from Trump's inner circle are loud and clear. J.D. Vance is the chosen successor. Lara Trump herself has allegedly positioned Vance to lead the country for 8 years after Trump's term concludes. The political machine is already in motion, and the optics of a 2028 run are paramount. A newly single J.D. Vance, having bonded with the widow of a conservative icon over their shared losses, and marrying a devout Christian woman who is also a powerful political operative, creates a narrative of unity, faith, and resilience that is politically irresistible to a certain base. It's a story of redemption and a powerful, Christian-centric political partnership. Conversely, Usha Vance, the highly educated Indian-American Hindu wife, while a symbol of diversity, may be viewed by the political strategists as a liability, a complication that needs to be cleanly removed before the final ascent. the public shaming over her faith, the alleged setup for divorce. It all points to a cold, hard calculation. The personal must be sacrificed for the political. The irony is that Usha, who once spoke of her husband's curiosity and enthusiasm for her background, is now facing the full force of his political ambition, which demands that those differences be erased or weaponized. She is not just losing her husband, she is allegedly being erased from the political narrative, a casualty of a power play. The concern for Usha's safety, while speculative, is a natural extension of this narrative of cold calculation. When a person is viewed as a political obstacle, and the stakes are the presidency, the public's imagination naturally goes to the darkest possible scenarios. The online comments, the chilling predictions of a mysterious and sudden illness, reflect a deep-seated fear that in the pursuit of ultimate power, some people are willing to go to any length. This entire story is a masterclass in the manipulation of public perception. Every move, from the bizarre hug to the public comments on faith, seems designed to achieve a specific political outcome. But the most important questions remain unanswered, and they are the ones that will keep this story alive until the truth, or a version of it, finally emerges. What did Usha Vance truly find? The alleged messages and travel dates are the key to confirming the affair and the long-term planning. Was Charlie Kirk's death truly random? The inconsistencies in the aftermath demand a deeper look at the circumstances of the tragedy. Is the Pauline privilege a real consideration? If J.D. Vance uses this obscure religious rule, it would confirm the level of cold, calculated planning involved in the divorce. We are watching a political drama unfold in real time. A story of alleged betrayal, ambition, and the dark side of the pursuit of power. It's a reminder that in the highest echelons of politics, the personal is always political, and sometimes the most shocking events are not accidents, but carefully planned moves on a very large chessboard. The public is being asked to accept a narrative, but the evidence, the timing, and the sheer strangeness of the events are forcing us to look closer, to question everything, and to demand the truth. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.